Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing, Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has begun a 4-day visit to Hungary and Slovakia. The Apostolic journey marks the 84-year-old pontiff's first international trip since undergoing colon surgery in July. The Holy Father arrived in the Hungarian capital of Budapest on Sunday morning. He first had a closed-doors meeting with the country's Prime Minister Viktor Orban and President János Áder. He then met with the bishops of Hungary, followed by the leaders of other Christian churches and ecclesial communities, as well as representatives of the Jewish community. Pope Francis told those assembled that Christians and Jews have to view one another as brothers and sisters and not as strangers. The Holy Father called for a conversion of both communities in order to make possible new beginnings. Hungary's Jewish population is estimated to number between 75,000 and 100,000 people, making it the largest Jewish community in East Central Europe. Pope Francis used his address to condemn anti-Semitism and suggested that the only way to eradicate it is through positive cooperation and promoting brotherhood. The highlight of the Pope's 7-hour visit to Hungary then came later on Sunday morning as he offered Holy Mass in the capital's Heroes Square. The sacred liturgy marked the conclusion of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress, which had been taking place throughout the previous 7 days. Sunday's Mass in Budapest was attended by the most senior figure in Orthodox Christianity, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I of Constantinople. In his homily, Pope Francis stressed the need for Christians to always walk behind the Lord. He also said that the Eucharistic Congress in Budapest marks the end of one journey and the beginning of another. The International Eucharistic Congress has been held regularly since 1881 to celebrate the real presence of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. At the conclusion of Holy Mass, Pope Francis led those present in praying the Angelus, as is custom. That was preceded by some personal comments by the Pope. He thanked what he called the great Hungarian Christian family and prayed for Christian unity across the ancient European nation. The cross, he said, remains the bridge between the past and the future. Pope Francis concluded by saying thank you in Hungary's native language of Magyar. He then left for Budapest International Airport, where he departed upon the papal flight for neighbouring Slovakia. Pope Francis arrived in the Slovakian capital of Bratislava around 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. He was met off the plane by the country's president, Zuzana Kapitova. The Holy Father was then taken to the Apostolic Nunciature, that's the Holy See's embassy in Slovakia, where he held discussions with delegates of various Christian churches and ecclesial communities. The Pope also had a private meeting with members of the Society of Jesus, or Jesuits, of which he, of course, is himself a member. On Monday morning, Pope Francis will hold talks with President Kapitova of Slovakia. That will be followed by meetings with the country's bishops, priests, religious, consecrated persons, seminarians and catechists at the Cathedral of St. Martin in Bratislava. Later in the day, the Holy Father will also hold talks with the leaders of Slovakia's Jewish community, followed by discussions with the country's Prime Minister. In other news, 2 great 20th century Polish Christian heroes have been beatified at a public ceremony in the nation's capital, Warsaw. Blessed Stefan Wyszyński was the Cardinal Archbishop of Warsaw and Primate of Poland for most of the country's post-war communist dictatorship. He himself was imprisoned by the communists on 3 separate occasions. Cardinal Wyszyński died in 1981. That's 3 years after participating in the papal conclave, which saw his protege, Cardinal Karol Wojtyła of Krakow, elected as Pope John Paul II. Also beatified on Sunday was Blessed Elżbieta Czaka. She was a blind nun who founded the Franciscan Sister Servants of the Cross in 1918. Throughout her life, Blessed Elżbieta was a great servant of the visually impaired. She died in 1961. The beatification ceremony was attended by thousands who gathered at Warsaw's Temple of Divine Providence. Presiding over the ceremony was Cardinal Marcello Semeraro, who is the prefect of the Vatican's Congregation for the Causes of Saints. During Holy Mass, relics of both Cardinal Wyszyński and Mother Szaka were brought to the sanctuary, and their saintly images were also unveiled. Finally, with COVID-19 travel restrictions having prevented many people from going to Hungary for the International Eucharistic Congress in Budapest, 4 city centre parishes in London are hosting 9 days of celebration centred around the Blessed Sacrament. It's called the London Eucharistic Octave, and it's taking place from the 11th to the 19th of September. The octave began with a pontifical votive Mass of the Blessed Sacrament, celebrated by Cardinal Vincent Nichols of Westminster on Saturday at Corpus Christi Church in Covent Garden. The celebrations will culminate in a procession of the Blessed Sacrament through the streets of central London on Sunday the 19th of September. That's starting at 3:30 p.m. The octave is being co-organised by the city's Ukrainian Cathedral and the Order of Malta. Ave Verum Corpus. Well, that's your latest news headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also visit us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.